Iowa women's basketball falling in Madison by a final count of 84-71. Here on this Sunday evening, we are joined as always by former Iowa and Wisconsin assistant coach Gary Close. Gary,
where's Jess?
Jess is supposed to be coming here soon. He's having problems signing in. So you just
tell him the bus has already left.
I'm about to. Yeah, I'm about to. He's always giving you a hard time for not being able to get in. Here he is. He can't get in. All right. Well, we'll get to Jess here in a little bit. But, Gary, I don't want to take you too far away from your vacation.
I'm good. Don't worry about it.
We do appreciate you being here. So, lots to get to because this was a battle for about 35 game minutes until Wisconsin made a late push to kind of put it away. And, this was a game I don't think most people expected Iowa to win. You go into the Kohl Center this late in the year. It's a tough place to play. They've been playing well. I know they got beat soundly by Ohio State, but they had won a couple of difficult top matchups, quad one victories here in the past couple of weeks themselves. And Iowa was coming off an emotional win over Nebraska. But first half, Gary, high tempo, played in the 40s, and Iowa actually kind of led the charge. They had the narrow lead at halftime. Second half, it just felt like the offense kind of fizzled, and you just wondered if that was going to happen given pace of play and scoring output, if Iowa could continue to hang with this Badger team, the way they were shooting from three, the amount of dribble penetration they were getting from Nick Boyd, and in the end, they just couldn't keep pace.
No, I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly what happened. I thought they were terrific in the first half, especially offensively, really moving the ball and cutting, and got a lot of easy shots and wide open threes. And in the second half, Wisconsin played better defense, but I thought Iowa might have ran out of gas a little bit. They weren't cutting quite as hard, weren't moving the ball quite as much, a little more one-on-one, and resulted in more difficult shots that caused their shooting percentage to go down. So, but I think all in all, they played a pretty good game. They did not catch Wisconsin at the right time, obviously, but they did not play well against Ohio State. So they were ready to go. And like you said, it was a game till about 5 minutes to go, and then a quick burst gave them enough separation that got them the win.
Bob Hoffman in the chat brings up the guards that that program has had of late, and most of them have been transfers. It's not like they're just developing these guys from high school. We're talking about the likes of Tanjay and Stores, and now we got, what's his face? Whose name?
Nick Boyd.
Nick Boyd. Thank you.
Yeah.
And obviously with alongside Blackwell, but I tell you, Boyd's numbers are almost gaudy. I mean, 1 rebound away from a triple double, and I know he's really good, Gary. But is it foolish of me to have expected a little bit better defense against him today, given what Iowa was coming off of with that performance against Nebraska?
Well, it makes them very difficult to guard, and you can watch it in both teams. First off, Boyd is really quick, and he doesn't get enough recognition. He's a really good player. Blackwell kind of gets the recognition. I think Boyd is their key. If they don't pick him up in the portal, they're an average team. I mean, he's really good, but he's surrounded by guys that can shoot the three, so you can't get too far off of them, which they did in the first half, because they're going to knock threes down, and so the lanes are much wider than when Iowa drives, because they don't have to get out there and guard the threes like Iowa does against Wisconsin, and so the lanes for Sturts and the other guards aren't as big. And so I charted it. Wisconsin only made 2 baskets the entire game. There were not layups, threes, or foul shots. 2. All their scoring was layups and threes, which is a high efficient offense. They don't take 8, 10, 6-footers. They get all the way to the rim, or they kick it out and shoot threes. And in the first half, I was a little late getting to the threes. Now you're worried about that. Now you're out there. Now the drives open up, and it's why they're difficult. They're difficult to guard. And I think we saw their shooting percentages were, off the charts.
I know Wisconsin's efficient. I know Boyd's really quick. I just, I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of fans that come away from this game thinking, boy, it felt like they kind of turned the corner. But Nebraska, and I'm talking about Iowa defensively, they really did a good job keeping Wisconsin out of the lane. But like Sam Hoiberg is not Nick Boyd.
No.
And Nebraska doesn't really have that type of a player that's going to break you down. Do they? I'm sorry, not Wisconsin, Nebraska.
No.
So, I mean, just matchup-wise, Iowa matches up better. But what you just brought up, that stat's wild. That's got to make Ben McCollum pull his hair out, right? Because
they had 16 layups.
Yeah.
They were 16 of 18 in layups. And they still only lost the game by 13. I mean, you can imagine if you cut that in half, you probably win the game. If you look at the numbers, they shot better from 3. And even Iowa's percentages from 2 weren't bad. Their offense was fairly efficient for most of the game, but they couldn't stop them. I mean, they couldn't stop them. And, a lot of that is just their ability to penetrate. And then you try to help, and then they've got 5 shooters. And if they're making threes, you're in trouble. And they made threes in the first half. So now you got to worry about that. And the lanes are even bigger. And if they had missed those threes, then you can get another half a step or a step off. And now the lanes aren't quite as crowded. And then maybe they don't get to the rim as much as they did. But they made 16 layups.
What's the solution? And I've asked, this is, again, broken record, but what's the solution when you're playing a guy like Nick Boyd and you don't have a quick guard to defend him?
Yeah, it's a tough call. First off, you got to make him go right. His left hand is so strong. And I think it's easier said than done, because I've been saying it all year and he just keeps doing it. And it's not like these coaches don't see that. He's that quick. But you got to be real alert as to how far you're off and where can you show and where do you have to get back. And, they're tough to guard. If they're making threes, they're really tough to guard. There have been some games where they haven't, and then they've struggled offensively. And I think if they get knocked out, that's what's going to happen. They're going to be missing some threes, and then they won't have the dribble penetration opportunities that they had Because I think I don't know what their percentage was from three, but it had to be over 40. And so that makes it really difficult.
All right, we're going to bring Doug in here because I'm trying to get Jess in here. He's asking for some help here. So let me get Doug in here. I know he's always got good questions. Doug, welcome to the show, and I'll try to get Jess on here as well.
Yeah, well, I'm busy with the live chat arguing with people. No, you're working. All right. No, the defense. What happened, Coach?
Well, we've been talking about it. I think Wisconsin's tough to guard.
Yeah,
especially when they're making threes, and it gets real difficult. And they're quick. I mean, they're quicker. I mean, they're guards. Those two guards are as good as any two guards in the country, or very close to it. Now they're a real defensive problem. And then they sometimes put three big guys out that can all shoot threes, and you can't have too far off them. So it really strains your defense.
I was really hoping we got Flageris. I was really hoping that we'd get the Portland big, but you guys at Wisconsin got him instead, and he would have been a big help. Both winners. I mean, they did their game plan. I thought they contained Blackwell, but containing one guy when the other guy goes off really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't play Isaiah Howard more, and maybe I'm not seeing something. I don't think Isaiah has much of an offensive game at all, but I do think he can play better defense than Combs. And I don't know. I just don't know why Combs plays in front of Howard sometimes, other than controlling the ball and having a ball handler out there. Howard.
Well, he played pretty good D on Blackwell.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, because Sturtz most of the time, I mean, they did a lot of switching, but most of the time at least Sturtz started on him. But they're both good. They're both really, really good.
When you coached with guard, did he? Because this is not the same as a Bo Ryan. Did you ever have any clue that he would switch up and be this offensive minded and do some of the things he's doing? Or
he's not doing these things. Give me a break. Sorry, Gary.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry. He's hired somebody that's changed this, right, on staff. I don't think this is like Greg Gard's offense, is it?
Oh, the new offense that they're running?
Yeah.
Yes.
They give most of the credit to Kirk Penny, who's no longer on the staff. It's kind of a European offense. Kirk's from
Kirk played against you guys in the 90s, right?
What's that?
He went to the Final Four with them, right?
He did.
I remember Kirk Penny.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah. Early 2000s. Yeah.
It's not unlike what a lot of people are running. Those wing ball screens, kind of continuous. A lot of teams are running that. But they're running it very well.
But like you said, this isn't the same Wisconsin as 10 years ago. This is a new. You got the influence of Kirk Penny, like you said, and him taking some of his own ideas. It's just sad to have a game where we played so well defensively, and then have a letdown. That really was hard. Ohio State is playing for their NCAA life. Do teams know like another team is desperate for a win or not? Like coming in on Wednesday, because I really think right now we're above where Ohio State. We're 8-9 seed line. They're on the bubble. Do players and coaches are aware of that? How much urgency is there? Like, can another team be more urgent than another team?
Possibly, but I mean, you know about where you're at, and I don't think you talk about it a whole lot. You just say, look, we got to get as many wins as we can possibly get to put ourselves in the best position. You don't want to put too much pressure on one either. If we don't win this, then you're defeating the purpose. So you just say, let's go out and play the best we can, and obviously every win we get is going to get us closer to where we want to go, and leave it at that.
Yeah, I probably don't have any more smart stuff to say, and there's probably somebody, but I'm looking forward to this week. 2 very winnable games. Get both of those, I'd feel very different. I think the Penn State game, you can't lose to those quad 3 games, as Corey and some of the people in discourse have said. But we these are tough. Wisconsin and Boyd played really well. Someone in the discourse asked before the game, who's going to guard Boyd? And I made a couple of examples. Nobody guarded Boyd. Basically, everyone. He took everyone to town. That's sad, but we'll get there.
He's done that to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, he's very good. I mean, a lot of people mention he's, in his sixth year. Hopefully, next time if we have to play him in the conference tournament or something, we can figure out a way to make him go left. But it seemed like every time he went left, he would do better.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. Why making a guy go to his dominant hand if he's really good? He has a crossover and he'll finish with the other hand. You buy into that that forcing people to their dominant hand or force them to their non-dominant hand is makes any difference what hand you guard.
Well, some cases it doesn't. I think in his case, I think he's definitely better going left. But as we mentioned earlier, I think sometimes it's just, you think that should be something he can do, and I think he's that quick that it's hard to do.
Okay, let's see if we can if we can't get Jess on video because he's having problems. We can try to get him on. We'll try to get him on the phone line. Yeah, I feel like we've had this issue before, haven't we, Gary?
Oh yeah. It's embarrassing.
Okay, so let's see here. He's not shown up, and he was texting me, and now he's gone dark. So we'll see what.
I may have to text him and just tell him it's embarrassing.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't hurt, right? Kathy says, "Is there a second scoring option on this team?" Yeah, I mean, obviously that's
Good
a question. We wanted that. It looked like it was Tavion Banks halfway through Big Ten play, and he's been dealing with an ankle, but I also think his game is still developing at this level. Gary, what do you make of that question from Kathy?
Yeah. And they're a little undersized, so you're both the strength of him is around the basket, but it's when you're 3 or 4 inches smaller, 2 or 3, it makes it a little more difficult. So Cooper got off to a good start, then he got cold, but yeah, they need a couple of the guys to knock some shots down just to loosen it up a little bit. But I thought in the first half offensively they were great. I thought they played really well. Got a lot of good looks and very sharp.
Caller brought up.
Yeah, second half was a little bit less, and I think some of it might have been fatigue.
Caller brought up the play of Cale Combs, and I thought early he at least was battling Boyd, but the problem is again, and McCollum talked to us earlier in the week and said that Cale is dealing with some injury-related stuff. But if he's dealing with injury-related stuff, you would think that would give them even more reason to play Isaiah Howard more minutes than, especially on a guy like Nick Boyd, who's going to require a lot of lateral quickness and just a lot of running. So I'm a little bit surprised on that. The comment was brought up in the chat. I mean, Ben McCollum is not going to be happy with 84 points by any means.
Yeah.
And the stat that
I agree.
I'll have
and
to
the way
share
they
that.
did it will probably make him even more disappointed.
Yeah, and Michael brings up the same thing. Howard seemed to be the only one that, I mean, it was very brief when he played Boyd there at the end and the game was out of play, but it looked like he was staying in front of him better than Boyd. If you can't stay in front of a quick guard like that, what's involved in bringing help at the right time and at the right place?
Yeah, and you got to give him a little bit more room. So you can't play him quite as tight, and he's a threat from 3. So that makes it that much more difficult. I mean, they talked about it. Both of Wisconsin's bigs shot threes well today. And so literally when he has the ball, they could have 4 guys out there that all can shoot the 3. And you can't give them threes. I mean, they can make 13, 14, 15 threes. You're not going to have a chance. And so it strains your defense a lot to make sure you're not too far off and yet give some help to the guys that are penetrating. So it's a challenge.
Player of the game today was Bennett Sturtz once again. 23 points, 9 of 16 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, 2 of 3 from the line. I thought he was really good again, Gary.
Yeah, he was.
And the offense in that first, 8 minutes, it was really, you brought up the first half, but especially those first 8 minutes. And Iowa built a 9-point lead. And it felt like, boy, you get a couple of stops here, you get up double figures. They couldn't quite push it. What was it? It started with the play of the game. Big Grove's big play of the day was the alley-oop dunk right out of the gate from Banks, or from Combs to Banks. But what was it about Iowa's attacking that Wisconsin defense in the first 10 minutes especially that was so effective?
Well, I just thought they were really sharp. I thought their cuts were hard. They screened well. They moved the ball. I thought in the second half, a lot of time that comes when you get tired. You kind of tend to stand around and watch guys go one-on-one. And I thought they played a little more one-on-one than they did in the first half. And Wisconsin's decent on the ball, containing the ball. But I thought in the first half there were some really hard cuts, back cuts, ball moving side to side. And I thought as the game went on, that got a little bit less and less. But I think overall, offensively, they were pretty good. I think it was on the defensive end where they lost the game.
Big Grove Brewery, the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes. They're sponsoring our coverage here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. And, of course, they are the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes and the watch party headquarters of the Hawkeyes. Visit now a brand new location in Omaha. They're working on one over in Kansas City for our Hawkeye friends down there in the greater KC area. Check it all out at biggrove.com. Great food, great beer, and a great time at Big Grove Brewery. Also, our show sponsored as always by none other than Brad Van Meter and his State Farm team down in Des Moines. Give Brad a call at 515-256-6480 for a quote on insurance. BradVanMeter.com, or again, his phone number, 515-256-6480. Brad Van Meter at State Farm in Des Moines. Speaking of calling in, Gary, we have your friend Jess Settles on the line.
I was just going to call him.
Yeah, well, he's here. He's not here in the flesh. He's here. We hope he's here. Jess, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear, but I thought Gary was on vacation and taking the day off. I keep getting this miscommunication, technical.
I was on vacation, but you missed the bus, so I had to step in for you.
For crying out loud, can we get some better communication from South Carolina?
So, Gary, it's your fault that Jess can't sign into StreamYard.
Well, yeah, that's
Thank you.
People blame others.
It's like when he didn't run enough plays to get me the ball. I mean, it's the same thing.
How many times have we had you on the show, and every single time we do it, you can't figure out how to get on there? My goodness.
Look, at some point, the technical team's got to get this set up before I come on. I mean, I'm a celebrity. I have people handling it.
I don't have a problem.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Jess, you do realize that Gary's wife and daughter take care of all his tech issues. So
Thank you.
Well, no, I'm saying get your.
Well, you got a wife and you got more daughters than I have.
Exactly.
No, crying out loud. Anyway, tough loss for the Hawks.
I think what happened is you assumed everything was going to go perfect, and you didn't plan ahead, and then you got on there and went, uh-oh, it's not working. And that, you know the 5 Ps. You know the 5 Ps?
The 5 what?
The 5 Ps.
Go ahead, explain.
Actually, I think it's 6. Prior planning prevents blank poor performance.
Oh, for good glory. All I'm typically doing is hitting the Zoom link. I don't know about this Star link, Google link, Facebook link. How many different links do I have to navigate to get on the darn show?
You should have got on earlier.
So I'll say this, Jess. First of all,
it's nice to have you on anyway, Jess.
Yeah. With that
thanks,
being
fellas.
said, thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for being here. You do sound great. You sound crystal clear.
Well,
so
let's not stretch it.
Yeah, I mean, all things being considered, but Jess, let's talk about this one. Obviously, difficult loss on the road, coming off a great win against Nebraska. This is a game I think a lot of Iowa fans hate playing. Whether you're there or not, the Kohl Center has been a house of horrors for a lot of teams. Gary knows about that firsthand. But we led the show talking about how efficient Iowa was on offense in the first half. But in the end, too much quickness from Nick Boyd, and boy, Wisconsin can really shoot the three.
Yeah, it even seemed like in the first half we really outplayed them. Couldn't play much better on the road, and yet they kept drilling those threes. I think they had 6 threes in the first half, and a couple of those were really deep to keep them in it. And then Boyd is just, it's almost like we forgot he was left-handed. Now he's been doing that all season long, and he almost comes up with a triple-double. But he was just sensational down the stretch and made all the plays. And there's just some nights where we don't score enough. I mean, your defense obviously carries you in this league, but you just don't hang enough points up every single night. And you play against scoring teams like Wisconsin, and you're always behind the 8 ball, and you got to almost play perfectly down the stretch. And give them credit; they were the better team today.
I'm curious to get your perspective on this, Jess, because I asked Gary out of the gates. You come off a performance against Nebraska where you hold them to what, 52, and I know Wisconsin, they're a totally different matchup. They got 3-point shooters everywhere. They can beat you inside. Obviously, the quickness of a Nick Boyd along with the scoring threat of Blackwell. There's a lot of threat there offensively, one of the better offensive teams in this league. But I would have to think Ben McCollum is pulling his hair out to go from what we saw Wednesday or Tuesday to what we saw today.
He seemed frustrated on, some of those moves by Boyd getting deep into the paint a couple times, not challenged. He just seemed like you're exactly right, pulling his hair out on some of those plays. And yet, I almost think on a lot of those plays, they'll grade out defensively pretty good. Those were some really deep threes. And it's also really interesting in this modern basketball, how many of those misses come ricocheting off. And it seemed like Wisconsin just came up with some timely offensive rebounds. I'm not sure exactly what you do when they come off so hard and they're almost out to the 3-point line. Your guards have to rebound. But yeah, it just felt like in that second half they were better, and we just couldn't score enough, even though it seemed like Sturts had another just incredible game. And then, Coach, the substitution patterns are almost instinctive patterns. A guy will play a couple minutes, and then you won't see him for another 30 minutes. And it's just, I don't know. That's tough to play that way. I know there's a reason behind it, but just seemed like we got a little discombobulated with the substitutions in the second half.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to tell. You just going into a game, what you think is going to work and who you're going to go with. But I do think they ran out of gas a little bit.
Yeah.
And as you know, when you run out of gas, you usually try to take a break on defense, or you're just not moving as hard, not going to glass as hard, to take a break or to get a rest. And they're picking up Sturts full court almost the entire first half. That's work. And then they started, giving the ball to Combs a little bit, and some other guys to bring it up just to give him a break. But he didn't have very many wide open looks, other than a few where he got to the rim.
And Sturts is coming off a game where he reportedly ran like 5 miles to guard Price Sanders, all those screens. Yeah. So that's a lot of. He didn't come out of that game either. I mean, this is, and now we're rounding into the most important time of the year, Jess. What does it take? I mean, I know you played more college basketball than anybody that's ever played the game, but give us an idea of how hard it is.
When you play 7 years, you're going to play more.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Thank you for explaining that inference. Jess, how hard is it to keep up this level of volume if you're Sturts?
I can't even relate to it. Obviously, we pressed the whole game, and our mission was play harder than anybody else in your limited minutes, then sub, and then have somebody else come in and play hard. So the idea that somebody can play this many minutes, I don't know if we've ever seen it before. And, against Nebraska, where he's guarding Price and just playing like an All-American, it works. And then I agree with Coach. You run out of gas in this one. I wish that he could get less minutes and more guys could play. I don't know how many minutes Howard played in this game, but it didn't seem like we saw him in the second half.
Agreed.
Till right at the end there.
Yep. He played
and
played 8 minutes in the game.
Yeah, go ahead.
He played 8 minutes in the game. And I mean, that's got to be a question for Ben. I mean, maybe there's something going on behind the scenes. Of course, we don't know. But 8 minutes compared to Cale Combs' 25. And I'm not trying to dog on Cale Combs. I actually think Cale came out the first 10 minutes of the game, Jess, and battled Boyd. I mean, you could tell that was his assignment.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with an injury, according to Ben. But, boy, as the game went on, he just got blown by several times. I thought early in that second half, there was a sequence, you probably remember it, Coach, where Cale Combs drives, floats a shot off the board, off the rim, misses it, then doesn't get back on defense, and it gives Blackwell his first points of the game on a wide open three. And, it didn't really hurt Iowa. I thought that might have been the turning point for Blackwell.
In front of the bench, yeah.
But that was a big sequence, and I'm thinking, boy, you'd think maybe it'd be at that point, because Ben was not happy with Cale a couple of times today, and he's been struggling, of course, on offense. I'm surprised he stuck with Cale as long as he did, Jess.
Yeah, it's just, it's backseat driving, obviously, which is what we do as analysts, but it's really instinctive. Coach McCollum is an instinctive guy who just calls timeouts at odd times, just based on his instincts and momentum of the game. And the substitution patterns are interesting. On the nights, when you win, it works. On the nights you don't, you question that. It's just everybody has their different philosophies. I know Coach Close, when he was at Wisconsin, they didn't play a ton of guys, and a lot of that philosophy was you keep your best guys on the court, and then they develop stamina and chemistry over the course of the season, and they improve. And that obviously led to 2 Final Fours. When we were in Iowa, we're going 9-10 deep, sometimes 11, pressing the whole game. Fran McCaffrey, flying up and down, playing 12 guys some nights. So there are definitely different philosophies, but I know as a player, it's really hard when you don't get a rhythm with those substitutions. Now, if you're just a disaster out there, you don't expect to get back in, but it's hard to plan on getting in at the first TV timeout, and then you plan on that in the second half, but then you don't play until the last couple minutes. It's just, the guys have done a wonderful job this year adjusting and navigating that. But it's just that time of the year where the pressure increases. Everybody's watching all the shows, and everybody knows about March Madness and Iowa on the bubble, and we've got to win this game. It's really a fascinating time of the year, but stamina is real and fatigue is real, and Coach Coates nailed it. When you get picked up full court and they're bringing in extra bodies, it's hard to quantify it, but it's real.
Gary, there was a moment in that first half, I believe it was the first half, where Ben went to zone. What was the thought process there for a team that can shoot out of a zone pretty well?
Yeah, I saw that. I wasn't sure that was or not, because I said, are they playing zones? It didn't last very long, but I'd have to go back and look at it. But I thought it was too, and I'm guessing maybe just to change something up, and maybe the penetration was bothering them.
An FBI Hawk 86 in the chat. I'll ask you this question, Gary. He wants to know about what Combs does bring to the table. What does, in your, if you had to have your best guess, what does Ben like about Cale Combs?
Well, I would guess he thinks he's one of their better defensive guards, and that's where they're really struggling, is defensively at the guard and keeping the ball in front of them, and things like that. So that would be my guess. And as you mentioned earlier, if you're not at practice every day, it's hard to get a grasp of how guys are playing and the confidence the coaches have in them. And that's where you got to do it first, to give the coach confidence that puts you in there. And then when you get in there, you got to do something, or at least not do anything negative. And but they're limited there for sure.
Okay, so here's a comment from someone who calls himself Seckler. You know Seckler, Gary?
No.
Okay. Well, this guy says, Coach Close, this is Seckler. If I can carry it like that, I may have eligibility I'd like to use. Someone named John Sterling, a.k.a. Seckler. Do you know this person, Gary?
No, but I'm getting up there a little bit, so my memory isn't quite as sharp.
Is it possible this is someone that played for you and you've forgotten?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Jess,
somebody had talked about Boyd carrying the ball, which I do think he does. He's right on the borderline. He got called one time for it. He is on the borderline with that.
Well, they got him once.
The other thing, if I'm coaching against Wisconsin, I'm telling the officials at the beginning of the game that those guards are going to jump into our guys, and you got to make sure that if we're straight up, that's not a foul. They're the ones that are generating the contact. I thought they got a few, but that's good guard play. I mean, that's what you teach them to do. But that and running into screens and falling down. I mean, they do that. They got one today on a dribble handoff. You got to tell your guys, you better be stopped because they're going to run into you and fall down, and you better be straight up because they're going to try to jump into you and draw a foul. I mean, those guards shoot a lot of free throws, and they've been doing that all year to everybody.
Jess, anything to add to that?
No, that's great stuff by Close there. That's when you're coach at the D1 level and you just see things the rest of us don't see. I mean, that's exactly right. They're so good at it. I've been screaming all year on the air about all these moving screens that they call against the 5 men.
You can't even set a screen anymore.
Say again?
You can't even set a screen anymore. It's crazy.
That's exactly right. You can't even set a screen anymore. And you're 30 feet from the basket. And if you even twitch your thigh,
you're right.
And Wisconsin flops, it's just an automatic whistle. And then in that situation, I think it was Tavian Banks. He's got to go sit on the bench in foul trouble, which swings the game. So the rules committee is going to have to figure that one out. I mean, I know Coach McCollum, our bigs can't shoot the three very well, but he's just basically slipping them all the time. And a lot of that has to do to just keep people out of foul trouble, Maniau and Tavian. And it's a really serious problem because if the guards come out and set the high ball screens or ghost and are moving, they never call it on them or on pin downs. It's just when that big is out front.
Right. I think probably what happened is the league. That was a point of emphasis at the beginning of the year that we were allowing too many illegal screens, and now they've gone the other way. But now it's too late in the year. Now you got to figure this out, so that you just don't turn the ball over. But that is nuts.
By the way, our friend, this is great. This happens with Don Patterson all the time, so don't feel bad, Gary. But John says he was a walk-on for you guys in 91, 92.
Well, I apologize.
So
that's bad.
I just looked up the roster. I didn't see his name on but I can't find it officially.
How many names does this guy have?
Well, apparently
91, 92.
Yeah, you'll have to check.
I apologize to John. I should know that better.
Gary, imagine being a football coach and trying to remember
Lord.
100 guys over the last. That's what Don tries to do.
I have a hard time remembering Jake Settles.
Hey, one more thing on Cale Combs, right? Cale, I mean, they put him at point guard a lot to take the pressure off of Bennett for bringing the ball up. So, they're sliding Sturts over to the 2, and, Cale's their best ball handler besides Sturts. So, he's just trying to navigate that. But I do, to put a bow on that first conversation, I do wish more guys were playing and it was more of a consistent rotation because, there's just something inside of all of us. It's tough when you can't get a rhythm as a player with the substitution patterns and
that's good.
To come in late, it's tough.
Yeah.
You agree with that, Gary?
Yeah, I agree.
So this comment that Bob wants to know, Jess, did you ever have to guard a lefty? And I'll add to that.
No, he didn't guard anybody.
How much of a different?
That's true.
How much of a different prep is that when you're guarding a guy who plays with the offhand?
For crying out loud! I mean, our scouting reports were so amazing. DeLeo and Rich Walker and Gary, and we had, you have world-class scouting reports. I mean, these guys it's what they do for a living, so you're always prepared. But Gary was always, the running joke among the former players, Gary always had a lottery pick by about 2 guys on the board, even if we were playing Jackson State. And it got to the point where it's like, okay, how many lottery picks are there if every team we play against this year has 2 lottery picks? But that's beside the point. The darn lefties. I can't think, Coach, who we played who were the good lefties. I mean, Lawrence Funderburk.
Michael Redd.
Michael Redd. He was the toughest. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's tough. I mean, your brain it's really tough. I mean, if you're a quick lefty, you do have an advantage.
Yeah, Ben McCollum kind of played that down this week, Gary, when he was asked about guarding Nick Boyd and how much of a challenge it is because he's left-handed. And I will say this, the one thing Gary, you and I have talked about this, but I've had the opportunity to ask Ben the question about quick guards, and his response, I think we get a Zoom with him here maybe Monday, tomorrow morning, I think. But one of his responses to me on the question of guarding quicker guards, he thinks they've done a pretty good job against quick guards when they've been toward the top of the scouting report. But it's those 3rd and 4th guys who have quickness, like at Maryland, or Zoom Diallo at Washington, or the Cam Woods of USC. But today, Nick Boyd is at the top of the scouting report. Is he not? Is it not Blackwell and Boyd, 1A and 1B?
Oh, without it. Those two, we said, they're 2 of the best guards in the country.
Yeah.
Easily.
So I'm anxious to hear from Ben on that question. And I don't know if I'd have to go back and comb through the stats, but Jess, is that the biggest weakness for this team this year with what Ben has at his disposal, guarding quicker, playmaking guys who can break you down?
Yeah, that's probably accurate. We're not big. I feel like a lot of the guys are overachieving, which is a compliment to coach and the squad. I mean, you go from the Missouri Valley to the Big Ten. I mean, it's just a different monster, and all these teams have 7-footers who can rebound and shoot the 3. The guys are playing so hard. They've got a good game plan. It's just tough to stay in front of those guards. I think one time Coop got switched on to him, and he just blew by him, and so you're just those guys they're so much faster in person than they are even on TV for everybody watching.
Well, that's a good point.
To me, it still comes down to can we find a way to get 10 extra points, 8 extra points, and it's just hard to hold a team like Wisconsin down.
Yeah, that's a really good point because you go through it in practice and you're not guarding Boyd in practice, and you're doing the things that the coach wants you to do. And then all of a sudden you got to guard that kid, and he's twice as fast, and you just can't duplicate that. You can't.
Yeah.
And the other scout team members aren't threats from 3, so you don't have to guard them all the way out there. And so it's really hard. It's really hard to duplicate. And so
the more I hear you guys talk, the more I talk to Gary each and every week, Jess, and now that I've heard basically the same from you, the NCAA tournament is always matchup driven, but based on what you guys are telling me, I should view this team's success this March as even more matchup driven. Is that fair?
Well, I think
you talking Wisconsin.
No. Yeah. I'm talking Iowa's potential March success is going to be very matchup driven.
Yeah, if they run into quick guards, a team like Wisconsin, where they've got quick guards and they got bigs that can shoot, that you can't lay off of, it'll be a problem. But it's a problem for everybody. I mean, they're a hard team to guard. When they get beat, it's usually because they don't shoot the 3 well, and they don't play good enough defense. Teams outscore them. Like Jess said, Iowa didn't quite outscore them. Came close, but didn't outscore them.
And Corey, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how many years ago it's been now, but it is all set up for the success of the guards. All the rules are for them. And the freedom of movement where you can't put your hand on their hip, you can't shove them off their line, you can't bully them. And then, with what Tom Izzo was doing where they would jam the cutters, you can't throw an elbow or a hip in front of the cutters anymore. They're protecting the 3-point shooters. They've got the reviews. So, yeah, I mean, it's built for the guys who attack the rim like we saw today. I'm surprised more guys don't do it, but they have all the advantages in the game today, and from what I see.
Yeah. And the 3-point shooting, I mean, Gary, you've watched plenty of Wisconsin basketball, but Nolan Winter goes 8 of 11, 2 of 3 from 3. You've got Rhodey, who goes 2 of 5, and Austin Rapp, who goes 4 of 5. It's just going to be hard. I mean, even, again, Blackwell goes 2 of 8 and finishes with 13, but 8 of those were from the line.
Late. A lot of those were late.
Yeah, you still lose by double figures because all those guys are knocking down threes. And I'm with Jess. Jess, I thought Iowa's 3-point defense was okay in the first. I just thought Wisconsin got a few kind of cheap second chance opportunities because of bad bounces. And Iowa seems to have problems corralling loose balls. It's almost like they got butterfingers. I don't know if you see what I'm seeing, but that seems to be it's kind of like, Gary, you've talked about Tavion Banks struggling to finish around the rim. That's kind of been a bugaboo all year. And I don't know what you attribute that to, just not being able to corral loose balls. But, boy, that created
They dribble the ball too much. You got to go get it. Possession is everything. It happened to
Sage
a couple times where he's trying to dribble the ball out of in crowded areas. Just pick the thing up. And we're not in that big a rush. The ball's important. And, you're dribbling around quick guards, you're going to lose it. They love seeing that. And then you got to be alert. Going into that game, this team shoots a lot of threes. There's going to be a lot of long rebounds. And so all 5 guys got to rebound, not just the big guys.
And on the offensive end, of course, the 23 for Bennett Sturtz. He's our player of the game with 9 of 16 overall from the field, made 3 threes. And then after that, 3 other guys in double figures, but it was Sage with 11, Banks with 10, Fulgaris with 11. Coop went 2 of 11, not his best shooting night, but boy,
here's a good example as you look at that stat sheet. We're not blaming anybody, but Cooper Koch plays 40 minutes and shoots 2 for 11, and doesn't get a single rebound. And,
oh my word!
And Sage, kind of the same position, plays 23 minutes. And shoots 1 for 3 from 3 for 7 of the field. He gets 7 rebounds in 23 minutes. Cooper Koch doesn't get any in 40. I'm telling you, if Cooper Koch played 30 minutes, he would be getting some rebounds. That's probably a mistake as you look at that. Fulgaris gets 6 rebounds in 20 minutes. That's too many minutes. He's tired. He's not going to the glass. His shots are short, and I think he forced a few after he made those early ones. But you've seen that before, Jess, where you look at your stat sheet and playing more minutes doesn't necessarily result in more rebounds and more points and things like that. Sometimes it's inversely related, and I think in Cooper's case in this game, for sure.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible insight, and it's so true. And there's something about when I was coaching, and I coached at the NAIA level, not at the level Gary did, but there's just something inside of you, especially when you're young or you're new to it, to where you just have this. There's something in your mind that tells you to play your best guys or stick with your best guys, and it takes some losses and get beat up a little bit to realize you got to trust more guys, and you got to get better energy and effort and less minutes out of your main guys, and get them in and out and get them breathers and use the minutes around those timeouts. But you're exactly right. You can't get 40 minutes out of Coop and not get 1 rebound.
Right.
That's something they can fix. They can fix the loose balls where you gather it, and you can also fix the getting all 5 guys to rebound. So that's the positive, but. Yeah. Sometimes those stat sheets do tell the story, and that really screams out.
If you look at, I think the same thing could be said for Bennett Sturtz. Now that's not going to change. I mean, he's been doing that with him forever. But I guarantee if he plays 36 minutes, my guess is his numbers are going to be even better. He's going to get more threes. He's going to make more threes. He's going to get more rebounds because he's more active. He had 3 turnovers. And I almost can guarantee you those 3 turnovers were all fatigue turnovers where he just wasn't sharp. B.J. Armstrong used to do it all the time. every time we got close to a TV timeout, he'd take himself out. Literally every TV timeout. Like 15 seconds, 20 seconds before the TV timeout, he'd take himself out and he'd sit for that 20 seconds. Then he'd sit for the timeout, and then he might sit for 20 more seconds. And then he'd put himself back in again. And he'd play 36 minutes, but he'd come out of the game 8 times. And he would play more fresh. And maybe they just feel like they can't play with him not on the floor, and they could very well be right. But I think Cooper, it's obvious. I even think with Bennett, I think his numbers would be a hair better, and his numbers have been so good. How do you complain? But it'd be fun to see sometime if he played 36 minutes. What would his numbers be? But it may be the team is so bad without him that even if his numbers are better, the team's still worse off. And I'm guessing that's why he plays 40 minutes.
Well, my question, just to follow up on that, is we're looking at this number distribution here, minutes distribution. Nobody else on the team besides Sturtz and Cooper played more than 25 minutes. I mean, that's bizarre. That's got to be matchup driven, right, Gary? I mean, you don't just forget to take Koch out of the game. I mean, nobody even got close. What was Koch giving him that Ben McCollum would have ridden him to that extent?
I think he would say that was a mistake.
Okay.
I do. I think that was. I think we'll see the next game. We'll see how many minutes he plays next game. But I don't think there's any doubt. They look at that. They go, that was one that got away from us. Mannion didn't even play 20 minutes, and he got 4 offensive rebounds.
Right.
20 minutes, because he's fresh.
And he played great against Nebraska, Gary.
Yeah,
Mannion did. So it's not like he's been playing poorly.
But you see,
how many minutes did he play in the second half?
Mannion, I can pull that up here. Mannion in the second half. And scroll down on the box score. Second half, Mannion finished with 8 minutes.
So about
this didn't seem like enough.
Yeah. Mannion finished with 8 minutes, 3 boards in the second half. Fulgaris, 12 minutes, 5 boards. Sage, 13 minutes, 5 boards. No one else had more than 1. And Iowa actually won the rebounding battle, but part of that's, well, I'm looking here at the game totals. Yeah, you hit it on the head, Gary. I mean, Iowa did finish with how many offensive rebounds in this game? They finished with 9 offensive rebounds.
Yeah. And they even let a few get away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, interesting stuff, both of you. Before we wrap this thing up, and I do appreciate both of you taking the time, Gary, what's the weather like down in your part?
Well, doggone it, Corey. I mean, it's in the 50s and 60s, but the doggone wind was blowing too much today.
Yeah, that wind.
I had to keep my drives low because I don't have much power anymore. I get them up in the air and they blow behind me.
Are you talking about driving a vehicle? Because you're not physically cleared to be on the course, correct?
Well, I don't tell anybody.
Well, good thing I know your doctor is a big fan of this show, Gary. So I won't have to tell him. But we have a super chat coming in from Doug who says Ohio State has 2 good small guards, Thornton and Mobley. What needs to be done against the Buckeyes to slow them down? They average a combined 35 points. That is going to be maybe it's a good thing for this team, Gary, because I thought Iowa really answered the call against Nebraska after a set series of really poor defensive performances for the Hawks. And now coming off this game where they really struggled to deal with dribble penetration, I don't think Ohio State has the shooters that Wisconsin.
No, they don't. No,
but how do you contain those guys?
And you see, Wisconsin did not shoot the ball well against Ohio State, and they weren't ready to play. Their defense was horrible, and Ohio State was desperate. They need some more wins to get off the bubble, and they just outworked them. Sometimes outworking people will, help you get the edge. I don't think Iowa was outworked today. I think they were just outshot a little bit, and sometimes you got to give the opponent credit.
Jess, you've watched a lot of Big Ten basketball and probably called some Ohio State games. What's Iowa up against on Wednesday? That's a game that's going to be really important to avoid dropping on the seed line.
Thornton, you gotta contain Thornton. Mobley didn't play.
Thornton is
he was hurt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mobley was hurt the last game. I don't know if he's back. But there's a kid that came off, the kid that went crazy on Wisconsin that only made like 3 or 4 threes all year, and he made 4 in that game. I can't think of his name, but Thornton went over 2,000 points for his career in that game. One of 3 Ohio State players that have done that. Jess could probably tell you the other 2. He's
probably Michael
he's
Red
really good.
and Cooney Penn maybe. Thornton. I think he had over 30 points today at Michigan State, and it was a 1-possession game, and Michigan State beat them. Every time I've studied Ohio State or watched them play this year, it seems like they're in every game, whether or not they win or lose. It seems like they're down to the wire. They've got some quality wins. I had them at Oregon when Oregon was really beat up and it wasn't much of a contest. Thornton is like he's kind of little Andre Woolridge, kind of that middle linebacker body, and he gets in there and just bullies all the guards. He's tough. It should be a heck of a game. It'll be a battle. And
is that at home or away?
No, pushover.
That's here, and
good.
It was mentioned.
That's a big game.
Royal and Mobley were both out against Michigan State. Royal was sick. I don't know what Mobley's diagnosis moving forward is, but you would expect Royal to be back, and Thornton put up 32, and they only lost by 6 in spite of the injury woes.
Go down their roster. I'll remember that kid's name that killed Wisconsin.
Let me pull it up here. While we're doing that, let me ask you, Jess. This team, I don't know how well you know Mike DeCourcy, but DeCourcy and most of the bracketologists at this point have Iowa firmly in the field. I know you're not a bracketologist, but I would think as long as Iowa doesn't lose out, you're not sweating on Selection Sunday. Is that the feel you get as well?
I'm a buddy with Mike DeCourcy, and if I just make a couple calls, he'll get us in. Don't worry about it. It's all taken care of.
Oh, he'll get us in.
But,
how about that?
Oh yeah. There's I know some people who know some people, but the good thing is the computers just love Iowa, right?
Yeah.
They've loved us all year, even when it didn't seem like we had any what I would call great wins. So I don't think there's anything to sweat now. Look at the schedule. It's tough. It's the teams. Everybody's desperate. Everybody knows what's at stake. It's really a fun time of year, and unfortunately, there aren't a lot of revenge games anymore with the expansion of the league. But the revenge games, for example, Iowa at Nebraska, I mean, those are just going to be absolute wars. So I don't know. I still think Iowa needs to take care of their business. And you wouldn't want Sturts to get injured. But right now, today, I think Iowa's in pretty good shape.
Real quick, I think you're talking about Devin Royal, Gary, because he had 25 on 10 of 17 shooting against the Badgers and was 4 of 7.
Yeah, he was really good.
And again, he was one of them who was out against Michigan State this weekend with an illness.
Oh, and
so they only
beat him.
They only lost by 6, and they didn't have.
Jeez. That's a huge game because they got Michigan at home and then Nebraska on the road.
You get
yeah, that's a huge game. They
get Penn State on the road as well.
Okay, that helps.
Well, you got to win it.
You got to win it. Yeah.
I know. They'll
win that. They'll win that. They're not going to screw that up.
Okay. Well, they lost at College Park. I didn't expect that to happen either, Gary. But
I didn't either.
Hey, well, did you guys? When I was trying to get on this garbage network you guys have set up, did you guys discuss with Fred Hoiberg swatting the phone from the kid? Did you guys discuss when Johnny Orr and Gary Close went fisticuffs back in the 80s?
We've discussed it many times.
You know why Fred said that? Did you read it? Oh, I'm sure you did. It had something to do with his pacemaker.
What? Okay, time out. Can I just say something, and then Gary, you can put me in my place. I'm sure both of you have a lot of respect for Fred because I do as well. But I don't buy the idea that a phone that's up like this, 6 feet away from him, is in any jeopardy of setting off his pacemaker. With all due respect to Fred, I'm not a doctor, but there are phones everywhere. And he's in the media room all the time with people with their phones up. I mean, I know that's going to ruffle. He wasn't that close. He was 6 feet away. He wasn't 2 feet away like people are making it out.
No, they were trying to do that to find that Guthrie lady was her pacemaker.
Well, yeah.
Seriously.
What is it? We're now at CNN. We're doing investigative reporting.
Listen, I did not think that would get brought up into the mix, but Jess.
Hey, you know what? You know what the problem is, right? So, number one, I like the handshake line. I know there are people who don't, but I like it because there's just something about, you get beat and you humble yourself and you're so competitive and we're all have a ton of pride and there's so much on the line, but you humble yourself, you shake hand, tip your hat. You also get to meet the Bob Knights and the Gene Cadies and the Tom Davises, in the spirit of competition. But you're wired, man. Win or lose, you are wired. And you're coming off the high of highs. And what'd you say? Sturts ran 6 miles or something. When somebody comes at you out of the corner of your eye, it's not a time to, you can't think about 5 different things. You just typically react. So, you cannot have these nut jobs in the line. I'm surprised they don't have a couple cops out there after every game. I don't know why they don't. We saw, you remember, was it last year or 2 years ago when Caitlin just got bowled over at Ohio State?
Yep.
Could have cost her career. They got to get that figured out. And it doesn't seem that hard, but John Shire at Duke, start all that. I don't know why they don't get the cops out there, Coach.
I agree.
The only issue I have with it, Gary, the clown that ran out of the line absolutely is a clown. There's no place for it. My issue is when you swing at somebody, whether you're swinging at their phone or at the person, you are opening up a can, right? And the problem is, he swings through, hits the phone, hits the back of an assistant coach's head. What happens then if an Iowa player sees that but doesn't see why Fred swung and his emotions are high? He's going to go protect his guy, and all of a sudden you have a brawl in the handshake line, and, oh, by the way, we have 3,000 students on the court. I just think it sets a bad precedent to not apologize at all if you're Fred Hoiberg. I think it sets a bad precedent. And for the Big Ten to basically say, we're okay with Iowa apologizing, but not Nebraska, I just think it sets a bad precedent that it's okay to react that way. I get it. Emotions are high. You're going to react, but that doesn't mean 2 wrongs make a right. And swinging at somebody, to me, is a wrong, whether it's you're afraid of this or you're afraid of that or it was heat of the moment. I don't know. I haven't asked you.
I'd have decked his ass.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Well,
it was
we know.
Kind of like it happened a long time ago. Some Iowa State guy went after some Iowa assistant in the line after a game. I can't remember who it was. A long time ago. It's a LaFester Rosen. And the referee didn't see the whole thing.
And again, look, I really do like Fred. I have nothing against Fred. The first thing that went in my mind, Gary, was the situation with your old buddy Krabenhoft and Juwan Howard. I'm just like, these things can happen so quickly. You can't have swinging. That's my issue with it.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyways,
I'll tell you a funny story about Fred Hoiberg. I called Fred up when he was like a sophomore or junior to see if he'd be interested in going to Iowa. We had nice kid, nice conversation. About halfway through, I go, "Now, what do your parents do?" "Well, they're both professors at Iowa State." I said, "Oh, okay." My chances aren't real good. That was the end of the recruiting of Fred.
I will say this, and I'm sure you have fond memories of Fred, not only as a player, but also as a coach, Jess. But the thing about Fred Hoiberg is when he is coached as an Iowa person or a fan or a coach, when you have the utmost amount of respect for somebody who has only played / coached for a rival school, that probably means he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good dude, man. He's had a fascinating career. I mean,
Fred Hoiberg wore number 40 his entire year after Chris died. He was the first one that did, and of course they did it for a while after that. I know I'm not sure they do it anymore, but he's the one that started that, and I've always had a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, what's interesting, Coach? My little Julia, my freshman, played the other day over in Indianola. I don't remember ever being in the high school gym. I remember being in the Chris Street and Casey Blake, the new gym, but that's a heck of a memorial they have for Chris over there with all the high school jerseys and pictures and Iowa jersey. I'd never seen that before. So
yeah, it is nice.
That was great. And gosh, I think they, I don't know. I've seen a picture of Fred with the 40 on, and that's just awesome of Fred. And Fred played with Chris, and I think Fred told me he spent the night at Chris's house a couple times back when they were on that travel team together.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy. And he's had he's had a fascinating career. I think when he was with the Timberwolves, I don't even know if he'd ever coached a little league game before when Iowa State gave him that job. And he kind of got ahead of the curve on this kind of the transfer and bringing in Kane, and he recruited Monty Morris, and then, had some tough time with the Bulls, and then had a really tough time with Nebraska in the beginning there. But the NIL and the portal have really kind of fit his philosophies, and they've had a really good year.
They have. You brought up Kane. That's a great name. But he brought in guys from the portal that had either off the court issues or legal issues, and it worked. I mean, he wasn't just bringing in random transfers. He's bringing in some guys that had some issues where they were coming from. And yeah, it's amazing what he brought back to Ames. No question.
Royce White obviously was the one from Minnesota.
Yes,
had some tough times with Tubby, but Fred didn't back those guys in the corner. They really fought for him, and I know if it wasn't for George Niang breaking his foot or whatever he did, I mean they were really flirting with that Final Four, kind of like the Iowa '87 team. I mean, they were right there, but it'll be Iowa's got to beat Ohio State. Otherwise, things do get really pressure packed heading into the Big Ten tournament, and it's a big one. But I think you play guys less minutes. I think you rebound better, and I do like that 50-50 ball where you just snatch it. There are about 3 or 4 times in the game today where that really changed momentum when we just tried to come up with one hand and dribble, and they took it back from us. That's a good point.
I was going to bring up Chris Babb as another kid that Hoiberg made a success out of, a transfer from Penn State. But Gary, last thing I have on this game, and then we'll wrap this thing up. But Jonathan says, I don't get the T on Howard at the end. It seemed very ticky-tack. I did have in my notes, I thought that was the softest T, but I understand you can't go back and re-officiate a non-call on the potential elbow, and Isaiah Howard did shove him, but that did the game in. There's a lot of comments in the chat about officiating. You're the last person in the world to really criticize the officials on this show. I'm guessing you're going to tell me the officiating was okay.
I didn't think the officiating was too bad. I don't think it cost them the game. I think when you play a guy like Boyd, you got to understand going to the game, he's a little edgy, and you just got to keep yourself under control. And the same thing with, you probably remember it, Jess. There's some guys that are big talkers and try to do this and that and try to get your goat, and you just got to, hey. I know I put it in the scouting report sometimes. This guy's a little bit of a cheap shot artist. Be ready. And you got to, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see that exact play. But it did sound like it was a little weak, the T.
John Sterling.
So,
go ahead, do it, Jess.
Yeah. Okay. So I replayed this like 3 times, and I think it was John that sent in the text about it or whatever, but so I believe it was Blackwell. Was it right when they trapped him there?
Yes, I believe
it was Blackwell.
Yep.
So he comes across, and it didn't matter in the outcome of the game, but he comes across the line. So they no longer call traveling, which is really a swing from what it used to be. And I don't mind the continuation. The continuation to me and the block charge call, that takes a lot of pressure off the officials. I think it makes the game better. But they've totally abandoned the travel out front, especially stepping into shots. So it's kind of the James Harden, Steph Curry, where they're not calling the plant foot anymore. And if you just watch that play, I think he shifted pivot feet on that play at least 4 times, maybe 6. So it's a travel first. Then he puts his shoulder into our guy, and he thinks he hit him in the throat, which he didn't. So then you've got a dead ball, and then he shoves him. So they get the dead ball technical foul, which was the right call. No big deal. It doesn't matter. But he traveled 5 times before it even happened, so it should have been our ball going the other way. So they've abandoned that rule with the pivot foot. It's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a 6-point play.
Yeah. No, the game was
Yeah,
over.
it's you just watch it. You just watch it and tell me how many times you think they move. If you got that on tape close, I know you're going to be at the beach later, but if you have a minute to spare,
It's windy.
to travel.
It's too windy. He says it's too windy, Jess.
It's like 30 miles an hour.
If it gets a little cold, in the Midwest, gets soft and catches a plane.
At least I show up on time, not with some crazy excuse.
Listen, I'm from Winfield. We had no stoplights. We had a phone.
What, have you not taken a shower in 3 or 4 days? That's why you didn't want to be on so we could see it?
Crying out loud! This new technology. Can someone just call me next time?
Jess, we're gonna get this figured out. All right, we're gonna get your internet.
All right, Jess, we'll see you Wednesday.
YouTube.
What's YouTube? Yeah, that might be the start. John in the chat says, Coach, I was a gray teamer with Shea and is it Javant and O'Connor and Schraub.
Yeah, see, we had too many gray team guys. How am I going to remember all the gray team? I can't even remember but I do. It's coming back to me. I'm going to go look at my team pictures, and I'm going to find John.
Gary, what's your beer of choice?
Again, I apologize.
What is your? I saw you were kicking back with a cold one. What's the beer of choice this evening?
No beer.
What's in the cup? What's in the can?
This is water. It's water.
It's water. It's
okay. Mango water.
He's drinking a seltzer over here.
Pure healthy. Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Got to watch my figure.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, we have a lot to be thankful for around here. One being Jess, one being Gary. But how about Brad Van Meter and the State Farm team? They're sponsoring our show as always. Give them a call, 515-256-6480, or visit his team online at bradvanmeter.com and get a free quote on insurance. Tomorrow's Monday. Be a great morning to call and see how he can help you and your family save money on auto insurance, motorcycle insurance. Hey, it's almost springtime, boat insurance, whatever you need. Brad can help you out. 515-256-6480. Brad Van Meter at State Farm in Des Moines.
I heard Brad can't keep people in front of the ball either. Is that true?
Well, there's only one way to find out, Gary.
Okay. All right.
All right, Jess. Hey, we're gonna get this internet figured out. I know, Gary, you won't be back with us Wednesday because you wouldn't be back with us Wednesday if you were in Wisconsin because the game starts at 8. That means the game ends at 10. You go to bed at 9. So you wouldn't be with us anyway.
It's 11 here.
So it's 11 there when the game ends, which would, if you were in the postgame, it would require you being up past midnight, which would wipe you out for several days.
That might be my first potty break.
Yeah. Jay, check in with us during your first pee. Can you do that? Just wait till you're done.
I might be able to do that.
So
I might surprise you.
Jess Settles is on the line. Jess, we appreciate you. I know we'd rather be able to see your face, but we'll get you back here another time, and I promise I'll explain what YouTube is.
I appreciate it, fellas.
Good to hear your voice, Jess.
We'll
You got any games coming up?
Say again?
Got any games coming up?
I am going to be in Orlando on Saturday for UCF and Baylor.
Oh.
So that'll be kind of nice to get into some sun. And then
that will be nice.
I think I have a few games in between, but I've got the Iowa-Michigan game on March 5th, which could be a huge one.
Wow. How about
that? I like texting Jess during the game.
Yeah, he's told me, Gary. He says that you beg for him to say his name, say your name on the air. Is that?
No, sometimes I ask him. I want to hear a special word like stupendous. So when he goes Bennett
Kingsbury and
stupendous step back.
And they never miss.
So when he's doing it, if you hear some wild word,
that's all Gary. Yeah. That's all Gary's vocabulary.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's right.
Submissions are open for that UCF Baylor game. So, just safe travels down to Orlando. Enjoy the sunshine while you have it.
I appreciate it, guys. Great show. Great job.
See you, Jess.
Love you, Coach.
Jess.
Thanks, Gore. See you guys.
You too, buddy.
All right, folks.
All right, Corey.
For Coach Gary Close, I'm Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye of the Storm. we'll talk to you soon. We got Iowa wrestling here this evening, so stay tuned. Keegan will be hosting that, and then we've got the Iowa women back out in the court on Thursday, the Iowa men on Wednesday. So we'll see everybody back then. Have a great week.
Sounds good.